Welcome back to today's video. Today I'm going to teach you how to destroy the Ruy Lopez like Pragnananda. So the Ruy Lopez is a very famous opening. It's a very positional opening. It's the main tool of Magnus Carlsen, and it's the reason that he's won so many games. It's a very good opening. It's more than solid. It's principal chess. It follows everything that beginners learn. Push your pawn, develop your knight, bishop, and play positional chess. Try to minimize the tactics as much as possible. And that's how Magnus has made his career. He's made his career off of playing these positions where positions dead equal and he just grinds down his opponent. So I'm going to teach you how to play the Ruy Lopez first and then how to destroy it. So with the Ruy Lopez, the main idea is that you play 1e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6. Let me just unmute this. You're going to play bishop to b5. Bishop b5, very nice move. The reason that you play bishop b5 is that you want to just play solid chess. You play bishop c4, you kind of get the Italian, the gioco piano. You can end up playing the fried liver if you want. Very solid chess. Now, black has a number of ways to play this. You can play knight f6, which is the Berlin defense, basically saying you want to draw. It can lead to very boring games. The Berlin draw is just what you want to do with this. Kramnik actually played this a lot, but we don't like to talk about him. Um, Here, black's most common response is this, kicking out the bishop. White bishop falls back. Now you have a bunch of different things, knight f6, b5. I'm personally a fan of this line with the black and white pieces. This is called the martial attack. It's not played as much, but early 2000s, mid 2000s, this was a very strong opening. This was seen at all of the top levels. And the idea is just that you play something like this. Knight here, rook back, here, here, and something like bishop to g4, I think is the line. And then f3. And it's not played because this just white has a major advantage. Sure, it's all the top computer moves, but it can get very messy. Black tends to avoid it. Instead, black tends to play something like after this move, c3. I think theory says knight a5, but I've seen d6 most of the time. d6 is very normal. It's just the closed Morphe defense. But as the whole point of this video is how to take down Ruy Lopez. So what you play is you play 1e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop b5, and instead of playing solid move, what you actually play with the black pieces is you play this very ugly move, f5. This is called the Yanish Gambit or the Schliemann Gambit. It's very, very good. Computer hates it. It gives it a 0.6 advantage to the white pieces. But if you know what you're doing, you get a very good position with the black pieces. It's still playable at the highest level, which I will show you in a minute. But the reason why people think this is a bad opening is that computer says just play the move d3, play f takes e, d takes e, knight f6, and white castles. And here white has very nice position. Black, not so much, you're missing an f-pawn, but so what? I told you when in those Sicilian videos, you can get rid of your f-pawn in Sicilian structures if you have a plan. If you know how to play your f-pawn, you can get rid of. If you know what to do, if you know how to work with it. It's usually not recommended for beginners because you don't know how to play without f-pawn. You need those 3 pawns just to protect your king. But here, people say it's a bad opening with the black because here it's very easy for white to just outdevelop black quicker and to just storm the king side because you're missing that f-pawn. That being said, it is playable. Just some different variations I'll tell you. You have something like bishop c5, I think. Yeah, bishop c5, bishop takes, here b takes, knight takes, e5, castles, and you see, honestly, much rather prefer black's position because I like this. I told you I don't play e4, e5 too much, but when I do, and it gets to Ruy Lopez, this is usually what I like to do. I like to play the Yanish, the Schliemann. It's a very nice idea. And similarly, you can play this idea of called, which is called the deferred Yamish, the deferred Schliemann. It's a Morphy defense, deferred Schliemann defense. The idea is simple. You just play the same thing, but now you have this nice pawn move, which basically gives you more space. You have ideas to long castle in the future, get this nice king mobility. That, remember, I talk about this in every single video. King mobility, very important too. This sort of hyper modern, accelerated, modern defenses. This sort of era of chess we're in. You need this. You need to understand this idea of king mobility. You can't play these positional games anymore because it's just against a good calculator, which is what a lot of these Indian chess grandmasters, they're strong calculators. Comes to mind. He's a good calculator, but when it comes to just understanding the positions, that's where he lacks. That's why he hasn't had good chess tournament performances recently. He's a great chess player, really good, but unless he understands these chess fundamentals of just instinct, he's not going to be as good as he could be. He has a good chess ability. He's naturally gifted, but he doesn't understand these positions. I think Magnus even said this himself. Obviously, a bunch of hate's probably going to come from this, but he's a great chess player. He just needs to understand these instinctual positions more. So that's the deferred Schliemann and the mainline Schliemann. Now, as promised, I'm going to get back to this game. This is the Candidates 2024. I believe this is round 3 or 4. This is against Vidit. It's a relatively long game, I think. 45 moves, so not too long, but very, very good chess. So I'll explain the move order that Prague and Vidit choose, and I'll explain how to destroy it and why each move was played. So because this is a video about how to destroy the Ruy Lopez, I'm going to look at it through Prague's eyes. So we have one e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop b5, a6, bishop a4, f5. Now, just for some context, I think during this game, even Jan Nepomniachtchi, he even left his board and just stared at this for so long because it was very, very dubious, very crazy from Prague. This is something that hasn't been seen at high level chess in a long time. The Schliemann is a very dubious opening. It wasn't considered good, but clearly Prague found a playable way at the highest level. Otherwise, it wouldn't be part of his candidate's prep. So after this move, Vidit opts for the move d4. And d4 is very interesting. I say it's interesting because computer likes it, but computer probably would have liked something like maybe d3, maybe bishop takes. I think computer might like this move d4 because it's taking control of the center. To me, I don't like it. I would prefer just to mess up black's pawn structure if I were the white pieces, but computer obviously thinks d4 is the best move, so did Vidit. So let's continue. We have this move e takes. Here Vidit, very nice move, pushes this e pawn. You see, major advantage for the white pieces, but is it really an advantage if you don't know what you're doing? That's the thing. You can catch a lot of these highly strong rated players off guard if you just understand how to play the Schliemann. Don't care what the computer says. A lot of these players don't prep against the Schliemann, so they're going to be relying purely off instinct if you know what you're doing. Obviously, like I said before, Gukesh doesn't have a lot of instinct, but if you know how to just purely calculate, I would argue that's what Gukesh did to get to his level. He's naturally gifted. I said that before, but he's not good instinctually. So if you can calculate a bunch, you can probably work your way out of this with if you have proper prep. And that being said, let's just continue. This nice move, b5, kicking away this light squared bishop. Huge move. Knight to a5, chasing away this knight. This knight has to make this bishop has to make decision. Knight takes, protecting this bishop. Prog plays this nice move, bishop b7, fianchettoing, x-raying this rook and this pawn. Knight takes. Knight takes is a very big mistake. Computer even doesn't like it. Computer doesn't like it because it sees this move. Knight takes b3, a takes b3, and d6. This is a very crucial move. The idea is that x-ray, knight. You have a very nice pushed b and a pawns. You have your rook about to get into the game. Sure, your dark squared bishop doesn't have the best development, but you can easily just develop your knight, trade off, get a nice active position, and after that, look at the white pieces. White has no development. You can make the argument now, sure, two pieces are developed, but it's much easier for black to develop here than it is for white. And also, white has this ugly doubled b pawns. Very hard to get around that. So what if white has open filed, open rook? Doesn't matter. This pawn is protected two ways. So what does Vidit do here? Queen e2. Queen e2. Also, that all happened during this game. This is not me just taking you down some line. This is what happened. It was very straightforward, this move. And here, what Vidit does, he plays queen e2. Idea is very simple. He wants to just get activity. He wants to make his pieces come out of hiding. Prog almost copies him. Queen d7, same thing, targeting this knight. What does Vidit do? He pushes his pawn. Queen can't take because that just loses with check. What does Prog do? Queen c6, just creating a nice barrel. If you push this pawn, it's just going to be very bad. You push this pawn, you just have something like knight takes e7. I think the way white would maybe salvage this is f3, black long castles. Yeah, computer likes that, so that's a way you could save it. But instead, this doesn't happen. Prog plays this move g6, simple idea, trying to double fianchetto, knight, pawn, just get everything into the game. Here, Vidit retreats. Also, notice the eval bar. Black now has an advantage. If you just go through this game, you'll see that this taking move was the very big mistake that happened. But even after this whole line happened, it's still relatively equal. Vidit just lost his slight advantage, and this was at the candidates where, look at the time too. Vidit is down almost 30 minutes. Here, bishop back to f4, knight, pawn push, queen to g4. Idea is very simple. He wants to strengthen, he wants to put long-term pressure, he wants to support his pieces, he wants to castle. Very nice move. Queen to c5, similar idea, just protecting this pawn, reopening this bishop. Still has ideas so long because if he wants to, can fianchetto this bishop if he ever wants to. Can slide the rook over. Obviously can't slide the rook over and this. Otherwise it'll lose and you just have a very ugly attack coming. Here Vidit short castles. I don't really like short castling here. Obviously I said you can, but I think he just needed to develop. Once again, I'm not a super GM. Vidit is. This is probably very good on his half. I'm evaluating this based on what I know and based on what I've ran through computer simulations and studied, my understanding. Bishop g7, like I said, this is what Prog wants to do. He wants to fianchetto this bishop and just x-ray this rook. Here, Vidit plays a nice move, knight to d2. Basically saying you can take this, but you're not going to win my rook. Obviously, there could be won many different ways had this knight trapped it. Here, Prague makes a mistake. Here he long castles. I would not long castle here. I know I said I like king mobility, but this whole x-ray is very ugly. And the thing that I don't understand is Prague spent about 10 minutes on this, maybe closer to 9, but it's very much ugly to long castle here. I I would have long castled somewhere. I don't think I would have long castled here. I want this king mobility, but I think Prague kind of rushed this. Anyways, h4. Here, Vida loses that whole advantage he just got by Prague's misunderstanding. h4, not a good move. You know why? Bishop takes b2. After bishop takes e2, you have rook a to d1. Then what happens? Think about it. Look at this position and think about what happens. If you found the move queen to h5, you would be correct. Queen h5. Sorry. Queen h5. Not a5, h5. Very nice idea. The idea is that if you take h5, you have g takes. Very nice position. You're going to just get these rooks in barreling down. Obviously, that does not happen. Instead, after this h4, Prague plays rook d e8, rook a d1, bishop takes. So kind of the move order got messed up in a sense. And now the knight's coming to basically prevent this move. Queen h5, takes, and getting this sort of machine gun barrel-like X-ray ballistic missile. Here, Prague plays knight takes, c takes, bishop takes. Very nice move by Vida. Discover check with the pawn push. Computer doesn't like it. I don't like it either, but this is just very nice move. Just very satisfying just seeing the pawn push with check. Prague, very calm, collected player, just slides his rook to the right. Bishop e3, queen b5, knight c4, bishop c3, bishop d5, rook h to g8. Big mistake. This is a mistake because you just have bishop takes c3, b takes, and now this pawn is just under attack. You've weakened it very much so, and this is what happens during the game. I'm not making this up. Here, queen d4. Big mistake. I wouldn't play queen d4. I would play something maybe knight e3. I would just want to kick this queen out. Bishop slides back to b7. Queen takes pawn. Rook takes pawn. Knight a5. Rook e5. The idea is simple. Rook now controls this 5 file. Sounds kind of silly saying this, or rook controlling number file instead of the E letter file. So now pawn push, and you see Prague just gonna grind this position out. He pushes the pawn. Vida advances this pawn. And g4, Prague's just very Fischer-like, very Taulian-like, pushing these pawns to rip apart the king. Look, savage move, complete savagery. He doesn't even care to take with this. This rook is under attack 2 different ways. Queen only protects it, pawn to bishop here, pawn here, rook there. Very nice move here. Vida plays the move knight takes b7. The idea of knight takes b7 is terrible. It's terrible because all Prague has to do is just g takes f2 check, king takes f2, rook e g5, and you have this pure savage machine gun, and that doesn't happen in the game. In fact, after g takes f2, king takes, queen takes b7. I can't blame Prague. I would think this is a free knight. I would just take it. Now what happens is queen f4, rook e g5. This is something you notice a lot with these Indian chess players. They're good calculators, and the move position will come up eventually, but sometimes move order doesn't necessarily happen in the correct way. Obviously, it's fine most of the time because they're just such strong calculators. This is sort of that new gen Indian chess that's coming. You had Soviet, USSR chess, then you had Fischer come and destroy them. Then it kind of went back to Russia with the Karpov, Kasparov games, or what's his name, Kramnik. Then you had Magnus, who just dominated. Before Magnus, who had Vichy, legendary Indian chess player, and now you sort of have this sort of Indian chess rise again. That these people who were trained by Vichy, Anand, they're coming back and they're just strong calculators. But this is probably what you're going to see. It's going to be very much like a Soviet chess era, just with Indian uh, chess, because there's a bunch of top Indian grandmasters. You have Prague, you have Vidic, who's slightly older. I don't know if he's Magnus's age. He might be, but he's part of Magnus's generation. You have Gukesh. You have, who else do you have? You have a bunch of other chess players from India. Can't remember some off the top of my head. Oh, you have Arjun Urgaisi. I think he's an Indian chess player. He's very strong, very talented too. I love his chess style. He's very aggressive. I love that in chess player. But anyways, back to the game. Queen b7 check. King takes. Pawn push. Rook takes. Rook h4. Rook takes h6. Rook to g5. Rook h7. Rook takes h5. Rook d7. King c8. Here. And here you have rook check, and Vidic resigns. He resigns because after king g2, you have this very nice idea, rook g5. Here you have to take with check, rook or king f3, and you just have something like rook e5, cutting off the king, and you're just going to storm your pawns down. This is not savable. It might be savable if Prague makes a mistake. He probably would in this very trivial endgame. And that's kind of what happens during this game. Prague has this imbalanced position. He plays the Schliemann, which is supposed to be a terrible opening, but he just capitalizes off of everything. Even this nice fianchettoed bishop, just slowly grinding out this position. But you see, obviously, if had he had more experience, Prague, he maybe wouldn't have made too many inaccuracies and mistakes that he did. But even then, he still found this nice idea of pawn takes with check, and that was like the final nail in the coffin. He just meticulously grinded out this position to get a very nice ending. This is what would have happened. There's no way White, I said this before, White can't win this. That's kind of how you play this modern chess. You can't play these solid openings anymore. Solid opening I mentioned at the beginning was this martial attack. This martial attack, which, as much as I love it, it's just, you can't really play this anymore. It's just very difficult because it's been studied so much. You need to play these sort of imbalanced positions. You need to play something that'll catch your opponent off guard, because chances are, especially if you're playing an over-the-board tournament, your opponent's been studying lines. He knows them like the back of his hand. He's going to blitz out like 20 plus moves in like a minute if you're not careful. So you have to find these aggressive openings that might fundamentally, and the engine might tell you they're bad, but if you can find a way to make them work, there's nothing wrong with it. Just play openings you're comfortable with. Try to find imbalanced openings that you know how to work with, and that's how you win at modern chess, especially at the lower level. At the lower level, your opening choice doesn't really matter as much, but just play solid chess. Just develop, know what you're doing, really understand how these chess pieces move. Like, I think the famous clip is like, "How do the knights move?" from Magnus, and I think one of the Boteses, I think Andrea. That's how you play. You just understand, look at your pieces, understand what the game is, and you will win. You'll have a lot of success with it if you just understand what you're doing. at the highest level. Highest meaning, I would say you can play the Schliemann in any time you want, but I don't think low elo players, I'm talking like sub 1,000, will play the Ruy Lopez. Chances are they're going to try some fried liver, which, if you want to see what the fried liver is, this is it. It's e4, e5, knight here, bishop here. I think here, something like this. And the idea is that you just get this, and you're going to bring a queen and just get a nice checkmate, something like that. But that's how you play the fried liver. That's what's going to come up most of the time. Just study the Schliemann. That's the main takeaway of this video. It can get you very nice wins, and it can easily crush the Ruy Lopez. That way you're not playing 60 plus moves of intense theory and just grinding out an endgame. You're going to get a nice advantage. If you like this video, like, comment, subscribe, follow me on TikTok, and I'll see you in the next video.